global tech outages linked to CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike CEO George Kurtz is apologizing for global disruptions, telling multiple media outlets that he is deeply sorry for the impact to customers, travelers, and anyone affected. And even though the issue has been identified and a fix has been deployed, businesses are still reeling from the fallout. Emergency services have been affected. Hospitals have had to delay procedures. 911 services have been disrupted in several states. Global travel has even seen flight cancellations and delays. Banks, retailers, and other businesses, they have also struggled with payment processing and error screens. Here with more on the significance of the incident, we've got Yahoo Finance's tech editor, Dan Howley. Dan, you've already got a story up about this, so we've all been monitoring this morning here. What are the key takeaways that people need to be keeping in mind in the aftermath of this particular outage?
Yeah, Brad, I think for the average person, you and me, someone stuck at an airport right now, someone who can't access their banking information, people who had doctor's appointments or hospital appointments, all of those being impacted. For the regular person, it's really just kind of buckle up. There's nothing that we can do. The CrowdStrike said that they deployed a fix, but it's not like you snap your finger and that fix immediately starts getting systems up and running again. A lot of companies like to make sure that updates are compatible with their systems, or they want to check to make sure that they actually work well or won't cause further damage. And so it's not as though this is going to be hunky-dory immediately. I think the other thing to point out is, look, this is a natural consequence of what happens when we rely on so many small companies, a small number of companies rather, to basically power the internet's backbone. This is CrowdStrike is a major cybersecurity firm. They're very well regarded, but this was an update for Windows systems. And because Windows is so ubiquitous, because CrowdStrike is so ubiquitous, it just kind of cratered a huge swath of the internet. Just looking at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital, they were canceling procedures that required anesthesia. 911 services in Alaska were out. Sky TV in the UK couldn't go live. Different government agencies were having issues across the board globally. And so, it just points to there's these individual points of failure that we have in these systems. And everyone's aware of it. It's not like this is, new to anyone, like, oh gosh, look what just happened. How could this have happened? This is well established. Everybody is well aware of it. It's just a consequence of everybody being okay with that.
And so, is it likely that this is an event that triggers any regulatory action?
It's interesting, from a antitrust perspective of anything like that, I don't think that's an issue here. I think when you look at the cybersecurity agencies, though, they're definitely going to look at this. The government, obviously there's going to be different people in Congress who are going to pipe up with press releases of their own saying yada, 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 how dare this, blah, blah, blah. They don't really know what any of this means anyway, so it's not going to be them. It's going to be the agencies that deal directly with this that are going to really kind of probably spearhead some kind of look at the points of failure here, and perhaps how companies can try to avoid something like this in the future. I think, really, again, it just comes down to how we've structured the internet at this point. It's a small group of companies that everybody relies on. It's homogenous, where it's not just one company here uses CrowdStrike or another company here uses. A lot of companies use CrowdStrike, and Windows is huge. It's the largest desktop operating system on the planet. And so when you mix those two, so many people using CrowdStrike, so many people using Windows, in this particular instance, this is just what happens. And so, I think really what it comes down to is, would regulators look at a means of preventing something like this, telling companies to have other forms of redundancies, something along those lines? It's honestly up in the air whether or not something like that would happen, and then whether companies would comply, because this is all costly stuff. And generally, when it comes to cybersecurity, nobody really pays much attention to it until there's an issue. And so, companies, their IT budgets, they'll say, okay, cybersecurity kind of low man on the totem pole, kind of. But
Right.
the reality is, it should be one of the most important.
Absolutely. Dan, thanks so much for taking the time here and continuing to monitor, of course, some of the aftermath or the falling action, at least as of right now. Thanks so much.